Court sacks APC governorship candidates in Enugu State. Chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal insists suspended Chief Justice Walter Nohe must personally appear before the tribunal. In international stories, U.S. Senate faults Trump over Syria, Afghanistan withdrawal plans. And in sport, Cameroon leagues begin after delay.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. A federal high court in Abuja has sacked Senator Ayogu Eze as the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Enugu State. The court has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to recognize Barrister George Ogara as the candidate. Ogara says this is a victory for the people, and he says justice has been done and called on party members to remain united through the upcoming election. Former presidential candidate of the Allied Congress Party of Nigeria, ACPN, Obi Ezekwesili, who officially resigned from the party last week, says she was deceived into declaring her candidacy and that she had made an error in judgment. She says she fell for the tricks of the ACPN leadership when they approached her to run for the presidency on their platform. She said the party had created an impression that it believed in her disapproval of the transactional money-grabbing politics of the PDP and APC, which she said had held the country back since independence. Ezekwesili says her values and those of the party were poles apart. She said the party was not really interested in being a vehicle to break what she called the bad ball politics championed by the two main parties. Governor Akinwumi Ambode has concluded arrangements to present the Lagos State's 2019 budget today, barely 2 days after APC leader Asiwaju Bola Tinubu brokered peace among the governor and the Lagos State lawmakers. The governor was denied a second-term ticket by the All Progressives Congress and has been at loggerheads with the House of Assembly. Members of the Lagos House of Assembly had accused the governor of gross misconduct and spending before budget approval, an allegation for which the Assembly wanted to impeach him. That idea was reportedly shelved as the party leader intervened. Tinubu was said to have met with the Governor Advisory Committee on Sunday to rescue the governor from being impeached. The chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, CCT Danladi Umar, has said that the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Nohe, must personally appear before the tribunal. Umar says no further action on the case would take place until Onohe appears at the CCT. Onohe was a no-show again on Monday at the CCT, but his lawyers had requested for an adjournment in the case. Umar said under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, a defendant who is served with a charge and is represented by lawyers must take his plea before raising any objections. The suspended CJN is accused of violating Code of Conduct for public officers for allegedly failing to declare some of his assets. Adjournment was granted till next Tuesday. Several Nigerians were reportedly killed on Monday night after suspected armed bandits were said to have attacked some villages in Zamfara State. The armed bandits are said to be a new component of Boko Haram. They attacked Madaba village in Magamin district of the state at night where residents were asleep. Dozens of residents were killed, and a journalist known to have access to Boko Haram leadership disclosed the information in a series of tweets on Twitter. The journalist, Ahmed Zalkidi, also raised the alarm over a Boko Haram component disguising as armed gang and attacking villages, killing soldiers and kidnapping residents in Zamfara State. Zalkidi tweeted that his arguments that there is a Boko Haram component in the crisis in Zamfara is reinforced by the way the armed gangs operate, especially how they execute some of their victims. He further said there is no doubt that there is a terrorism component and the cattle rustling an ethnic component as well. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has given an update on its latest efforts amid the ongoing strike. In a series of tweets on Monday, The body hinted that a large number of students may be disenfranchised during the elections because of its current strike. It said in one of the tweets that the union is aware of the massive number of students that could be affected during the elections because of the ongoing industrial action. It said the issue is being pondered by zonal chapters, and the union asked what efforts are being made to ensure that there is no voter apathy that would result in a loss of 22 million votes from what it calls this viable segment of our society. The trial of President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Paul Usoro, over an alleged £1.5 billion fraud could not proceed on Tuesday in the Federal High Court in Lagos because the case had been transferred to a new judge. Usoro has been prosecuted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on a 10-count charge bordering on fraud. Also named in the charge is Governor Emmanuel Udom of Akwa Ibom State. He is described in the charge as being currently constitutionally immune from prosecution. Other charged Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Finance, Nzeko Inkom, Akwa Ibom State Accountant General Mfam Doma, Akwa Ibom State Attorney General Uwemedimo Nwoko, and Margaret Ukwe, all of whom is said to be at large. Some hoodlums expected to be members of the opposition parties in Oyo State have attacked the Omia Dio Ibadan home and campaign office of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC. Candidate for Ido Ibarapa East Federal Constituency, Professor Joseph Adeniyi Olowofela. It was learned that property destroyed at the house of the former Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology included 6 vehicles. The candidate, Professor Olowofela, has described the attack as an indication of his popularity and acceptability by the constituents. In a statement, Olowofela said the opposition cannot change the resolve of his constituents to vote for him in the forthcoming elections. He said the attack was uncalled for.
You are watching ANN.
If you know fit go internet or follow for Twitter, you know fit snap photo send or get it photo send. Now because you dey use Palasa, your phone no dey answer. See me see wahala. My brother, go get smartphone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no go for your hand, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no fit take selfie. Drop that Palasa phone. No be correct phone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone.
Upgrade to a smartphone today and get double data for 6 months on any MTN data bundle you buy. Simply purchase a smartphone from any store, anywhere in Nigeria, or bring your current smartphone from any network. Insert your MTN SIM card to start enjoying your double data bonus. Offer is open to all new and existing MTN subscribers. Join the largest smartphone movement today.
Make it not for your hand, that's Palasa phone.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to African stories. Egyptian lawmakers have tabled a proposal on Tuesday to change the constitution that could extend President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's rule beyond 2022. The bill calls for several amendments to the constitution, including on the duration of presidential mandates. Currently, it is limited to 2 4-year terms. But if passed, the amendment would extend to 2 6-year terms, which they say would allow Sisi to run for the presidency 2 more times after his second term expires in 2022. The bill was submitted by the majority pro-government support Egyptian coalition along with some independents. The revisions were aimed at supporting the parliamentary representation of women, youth, Christians, people with special needs, and Egyptians in the diaspora. Another amendment would see the reinstatement of an information ministry, a portfolio that was abolished in 2014. The proposed amendments also include the introduction of the role of vice president and a revived Senate. Chinese President Xi Jinping and his Sudanese counterpart Omar al-Bashir congratulated one another on Monday at the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. In his message to al-Bashir, Jai said Sudan is one of the first African countries to establish diplomatic relations with China. The Chinese president also said he is satisfied that over the past 60 years, bilateral relations have been developing in a healthy and stable manner, and cooperation in various fields has yielded fruitful results. President al-Bashir said in his congratulatory message that the anniversary of the diplomatic ties is a major event of profound historical significance. He said over the past 60 years, bilateral relations have developed steadily in various fields. Bashir said his country is willing to continue strengthening its friendship and cooperation with China. Zimbabwe's Vice President Constantino Chiwenga has again been airlifted to South Africa for emergency medical treatment for the second time in 4 months after falling ill last week. Chiwenga had initially checked in at a private hospital in Harare last week, but had to travel to Cape Town for further treatment after his health deteriorated over the weekend. It is not clear for what he has been treated, but since last year, Chiwenga's hands have been visibly swollen with discolored skin patches. Zimbabwe's public teachers are planning a nationwide strike for better salaries this week, but the alleged riot police intimidation has the try. Some urban teachers say police are guarding classrooms while public service inspectors are moving around marking attendance registers for teachers. Some rural teachers also say ruling ZANU-PF party activists have set up camps at their schools. Union Secretary General Raymond Majonga has confirmed receiving reports of intimidation. Teachers say their current average monthly salary of $100 is too low to make ends meet, but the government says it cannot afford the figure being demanded. Meanwhile, bread prices in Zimbabwe have reportedly increased by at least 70% this week. The highest increase is the introduction of multiple currencies in 2009, and inflation is at the highest in a decade. An international group of public health experts have called on the World Health Organization to convene an emergency committee to consider declaring Democratic Republic of Congo's Ebola outbreak an international public health emergency. The group of experts say it believes such a call would help galvanize high-level political, financial, and technical support to address the Ebola outbreak that started 9 months ago. The group warns a declaration of international public health emergency may have negative consequences such as a ban on trade or travel barriers in DRC. The outbreak declared in DR Congo's east is the country's 10th and the world's second largest recorded. Dense population, political instability and mass displacements were reported to have contributed to the spread of the disease. Ebola has spread to 18 health zones in DRC, though many initial hotspots have been contained and new ones have popped up in recent weeks. Burkina Faso's Commander General says security forces in the country have killed more than 140 jihadists, a large number of militants in 3 counterattack operations in the northwest near its border with Mali. This was in response to an attack in which 14 civilians were killed in the north of the country. The military says armed men have attacked the village of Kain in Yatenga province on Sunday night, killing 14 persons. General Moise Menungu says Burkina Faso's army responded by fighting in Kain and in 2 other regions. He said the combined operations killed more than 100 jihadists fleeing to Mali. Islamic extremists have increased attacks in Burkina Faso's Sahel region. They have also shifted to the forecasted east and near the Niger border. When we return, international stories. U.S. Senate falls Trump over Syria, Afghanistan withdrawal plans. And later, sport. Cameroon leagues begin after delay.
You are watching ANN.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines, the cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network, ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In international stories, flames tore through an apartment block in Paris and killed at least 10 residents in the early hours of Tuesday. Prosecutors have described it as arson. Police say they have arrested a 40-year-old woman who lived in the building on suspicion of starting the blaze. Firefighters rescued stranded persons on balconies in the 8-story building. Her child was among the dead and 36 others were injured. North Korea is said to be working to ensure its nuclear and ballistic missile capabilities are not susceptible to destruction by military strikes. U.S. Special Envoy for North Korea, Stephen Biegun, will meet with his North Korean counterpart on Wednesday to prepare for a summit later this month. Biegun says he hopes the meeting with new North Korean counterpart Kim Yok would map out a set of concrete deliverables for the summit between Trump and Kim Jong-un. Both countries say they could be looking at a compromise that could expedite North Korea's denuclearization. U.S. measures include formally ending the 1950 three-year Korean War and setting up a liaison office. A CNN investigation has revealed that Saudi Arabia and its coalition partner in Yemen, the United Arab Emirates, transferred U.S.-made weapons to Al-Qaeda-linked groups and its Afali militia whose commanders served with the Yemeni branch of ISIL. Saudi Arabia and the UAE entered Yemen's war in 2015, leading a military coalition to try restoring the internationally recognized government of President Abdurrahman Mansour Hadi. The two Gulf countries wanted to restore the Hadi government after a civil war broke out between Hadi supporters and those loyal to the Houthis. But CNN reports the coalition was using U.S.-manufactured weapons as a form of currency to buy the loyalties of militias and influence the complex political landscape. U.S. senators from both parties have backed an amendment opposing Donald Trump's plan to pull troops out of Syria and Afghanistan. The text was passed on Monday by a majority of 70 to 26. The senators say the troops' withdrawal could allow the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, ISIL, and Al-Qaeda to regroup and destabilize both countries. Mitch McConnell, Republican leader of the Senate, says Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and their affiliates in Syria and Afghanistan continue to pose a serious threat to the United States. The amendment was opposed by only 3 of the 53 Senate Republicans. It will eventually be incorporated into a broader security bill on the Middle East, and senators will vote on it later this week. Up next, sports. Stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News and Sports Now. Cameroon Leagues 1 and 2 have begun with a full program of matches a week after clubs boycotted the opening weekend of fixtures. The games went ahead after the syndicate of elite groups reached an agreement with the heads of Cameroon's professional football league, Pres Semengo. Club officials will now meet with Semengo later this week to further discuss their concerns. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on this and other stories, visit our website, annafrica.net. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.